the first thing I want to ask you is why do you think people should tune in to this episode?
Oh, it's a good question. I guess I've got a quite unique backstory in terms of my footballing journey, and then I guess more recently, a personal journey that I've been on. And yeah, it's interesting. It probably doesn't occur too often. It's something that I'm happy talking about because I think it's important as a grown man to be honest about certain things. But yeah, I've got an interesting story to tell.
Cool. Could you literally introduce yourself to like the audience, please?
Of course I can, no worries. So, my name is Kevin. Funnily enough, my socials run under the name of 1GK underscore Kevin. I'm a goalkeeper. I'm 39 years old. Next week I turn 40, so I'll hit that milestone. Um, and I've only been a goalkeeper for less than 5 years. So, growing up playing youth football and men's football, I was always a centre forward. You probably can't tell by me sitting down, but I'm not the tallest of guys. I'm about 5'8", so I'm a very untypical goalkeeper in terms of stature and size. But I grew into loving this position when I was asked to, step in last minute, like many of us has probably done at one time or not. But rather than it be a one-off, I turned it into, a really healthy hobby. So yeah, that's me. I share my games and highlights via various socials, more notably on Instagram, TikTok, and longer formats on YouTube. And I share everything. I share the highs, I share the lows, I share the comical moments, the goals for me and the other team, and just have fun with it. That's
Mm.
why I do it. I don't do it for any other reason than the fact that I enjoy doing it.
What was your first footballing memory?
Oh, I think growing up, I'm from Maidstone in Kent. I remember going to watch the what I would refer to as the old Maidstone United. Maidstone is a team that's had a troubled past. It moved and was effectively booted out of its hometown, playing its games down at London Road in Dartford. So my earliest football memories were going to watch Maidstone United down in Dartford, and yeah, watching some great players in what would effectively now be League Two. A couple went on to play at higher levels. Mark Beanie in goal, Warren Barton that went on to Newcastle, represented England, and so yeah, and the Maidstone Gillingham derby. I remember that as a kid. I was maybe 6, 7 years old, and I still remember that intensity and loving it. So those are my earliest football memories. Yeah, watching Maidstone.
How was the family dynamic regarding sports in general?
We've always been a sporty family, and it has always been football. So dad's a big footballer. My mum as well. Interesting actually. She's not as much into football now as what she was when she was younger. But we've just always been in a family and an extended family where it's all been about football, whether it's playing, whether it's watching, whether it's talking about it. There's always been an affinity to football in anything I do. So yeah, it's just kind of part of me, really. I don't know
Mm.
what my next hobby would be outside of football that would have the same level of passion. Don't get me wrong, there's other things I like doing. It's just not the same.
Yeah, yeah, I totally understand that. So you like said that you was a striker, and you could have said that you are not the tallest player, full stop, really. And do you think that was an advantage or disadvantage growing up?
I didn't make it a disadvantage. I played to a lot of my other strengths and attributes. I was quick. I was one of the quickest in the district on 100 meters. I was able to literally at that young age kick the ball past someone and run past them with ease. And I used to be smart with my tactics. So a lot of my teammates that were played through me would tell you the amount of headers I actually scored. And I guess if you think about some of the smaller strikers from a professional level and some of the goals that they scored, likes of Michael Owen, Kevin Phillips, etc., just know where to be. And that was just a knack I had when I was young. And my obsession back then was just scoring goals. I used to get £1 every time I scored a goal, and my dad would round it up to a fiver if I got a hat trick. So yeah, I made quite a lot of pocket money growing up.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. And for your school, and how was the dynamic you with your peers? I mean, did they respect you as a kind of footballer? I would like love to delve into that.
Yeah, sure, no worries. So very fortunate. I've had a really strong upbringing from my mum and my dad, raised very well, never got into any trouble, and I credit them for bringing me and my two brothers up in the right way. Both my brothers are of a similar age. I've got one that's 18 months older and one that's 18 months younger, and I think that helped when playing football, whether it be in school or down the park, we were always playing together, and our friends were friends of friends. So at school, yes, I played for my school teams, etc. But I was always a popular and well liked kid in school, and I think that was important, really. I was trusted and respected by those around me, and also the teachers as well. So I had responsibility of being like school captain at an early age and understanding what leadership was all about. And most importantly, like I said, I just enjoyed it. I was one of these kids. As soon as I got home, we were out in the garden playing until literally you couldn't see 10 yards in front of you, and it's time to come home and come in and go to bed, I should say. So yeah, it's just football's always been part of my life.
What was your biggest disappointment playing at a young age?
Oh, that's a good question. Um, I remember clearly I was about 9 or 10 years old, and the team I was playing for were in a lower division, maybe sort of like second or third division in terms of a rank, and I was scoring a lot of goals. It was almost too easy for me, and I remember my dad having a conversation with a team that were in the top division, effectively saying that my son would like to try and play at a higher, more competitive level. And the manager turned around to me and he said, "Who's your son currently playing for?" And he said the team. Funnily enough, full circle, that team that I was playing for was Alsford when I was 10 years old. And he said, "Sorry, we wouldn't take Kevin in if he's playing for Alsford. They're two divisions below." That was all the fuel I needed later that season when we had them in the cup. And I remember scoring a hat trick and winning 3-2 against them. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was a big disappointment because that was my first sense of kind of rejection, and for a really poor reason as well, without seeing me play. But
Mm,
yeah, I remember that, and my dad being disappointed, but then almost kind of backtracking and say, "Do you know what, Kev? You're young. All the time you're playing and you're enjoying, opportunities will come." So
mm,
yeah, I do remember that one pretty clearly because it looked
mm,
like I was gonna try and find a new team, and I'd kind of got myself ready for it, but it just
mm,
didn't happen.
mm. You've like spoke very candidly and literally every time like you like mention you like family, especially your dad, you've kind of got a smile on your face.
Yeah, yeah.
The like connection between yourself and and your father, especially at such a young age, must have been really really strong.
Yeah, it was really strong. What's quite funny is he's not very good at football. Yet, yet me and my two brothers were pretty decent. My younger brother, Mark, was a very good striker growing up, and my brother Gary plays right back, and he could kick the ball further than anyone else. So we all kind of had very different attributes, but. Yeah, my dad was, he was that typical dad that everyone desires to have growing up, picking you up, taking you home, um, putting you in a bin bag when it was time to go in the car, and taking your boots off on the side. Just always there. And I appreciate that not everyone has that father figure or that option. So looking back on it now as a grown adult, I guess, it's very fortunate, and yeah, very appreciative of that relationship.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to your I'd say your late teenage years to your early 20s. Could you uh, talk about exactly where you were in your kind of footballing life?
Yeah, so I never made it to any sort of like semi-pro or non-league teams. I played I guess the Sunday league circuit and was successful in that space. Never really took it any further than that. I remember having some trials at Maidstone, and they didn't materialize anymore. And I think that was when I was around 17, 18. And at that point, I realized, well, I'm probably not going to take this path. And I know you could be a late developer, but at that age, probably not. So I focused on playing. My most enjoyable years actually through that age was when I was 20. I had the opportunity to go and work in the States, and I worked in Florida for 18 months. The first thing I did before even, sorting out my accommodation was reaching out and finding out what the local leagues were, because there was no way I was not playing football for a year. And I was able to sign up to a team. The chap that ran it was German, loved his football like I did, and I actually played in an Orlando district league, and that was super interesting because that was the first time I played football in what was now a multicultural society, in the fact that teams were devised in that area simply based on your nationality, your religion, your ethnicity, and that's how the communities work over in Florida. So that was really interesting because I'd never really played or been in that kind of world or experience before, but it was really unique. And also the conditions. I remember games playing 60 minutes. The game got called off because there was a tornado warning, or the tropical storms that you get out there are pretty crazy. Also, some very dubious refereeing over there. But it was fun and different, and that was. I look back on that with fond memories and having a really good time. And naturally, the standard was not as high as it was here, so it did give me an opportunity to kind of really shine out as one of the better players within those leagues, and that was fun, really good fun.
What kind of gave you the urge to actually travel and work in the States?
Outside of football, I've always been a huge theme park and roller coaster fan. Early holidays of going to Florida with the family and then with friends, just loved it out there. So when an opportunity come up to work at Disney over there, I jumped at it, and I thought, yeah, why not? And again, you're 20, you kind of got your first job. You're not really sure what your career path you're going to take. It was a kind of you're only young once moment, and decided to apply for a job. The application process was long. It was about 9 months through telephone interviews and then face-to-face interviews. But I'm really thankful looking back on that time I had in Florida, because, I went out there as a person that I don't know. I was 20 years old. I felt I was a little bit spoiled, and I had to become a man very quickly. I was in an environment I did not know a single person. I had to make new friends. I had to, discover who I was and the person that I wanted to be. And I still have lifelong friends from what is now close to 20 years ago. I think it'll be 19 years ago that I went out there this March. So yeah, it was a life experience, and really thankful for it.
So let's fast forward a few more years. So now we kind of get into your late 20s. Again, I'd love to know exactly where you were, and was Vets football something that you was thinking about?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I had no idea. I don't believe any 20-year-old in their right mind thinks that they're going to be continuing to play in football into their late 30s, early 40s. No one. If they are, they're lying. I think everyone thinks themselves playing to about 32, 33, packing it in, having a family, finding other interests, and maybe watching Match of the Day on a Saturday night. Not, and a few minutes before calling you, the WhatsApp's pinging off. Is the game on? Is the game off? Can we get another pitch? Oh, we found a 3G here. I'm 39 years old and we're still doing it. So, you've been there, right? This is what it is.
100%. It's so true.
So yeah, no, my 20s, and I feel a bit of a blur, really. I've got an 8-year-old son, so I had him when I was 31 years old. But yeah, the 20s just kind of drifted past, really. Yes, I played, Sunday league and, six-a-side league and stuff down the local leisure centre. Work-wise, I moved around a few different sales jobs and have been successful within those. So those were good times. But yeah, I think of any decade that I've lived, it's probably the one that went through the quickest and doesn't really hold any strong, poignant memories like maybe like my my teens did, or what's occurred in my 30s, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Could you? And again, I was just thinking about something. I mean, what's the what's the biggest connector between your like job in sales and also your job on the pitch as as a footballer?
Yeah, so it's interesting, really. I can answer that in two ways. One, there are a lot of synergies in, I guess, leadership, responsibility, the ability, certainly in sales, to want to win. And those skills and attributes translate well into that sales environment. It's that never do die attitude. You don't give up. If you get a no, you find another way, and you kind of have to display that when playing the game. Equally, I use football as my escape from everything. So football is, my 2 hours a week at a weekend where I genuinely, and I love my family, I love my wife, I love my son, I love my family, but I actually enjoy and benefit from switching off from everything outside and concentrating on the objective of the game, which is to win. And I am able to kind of shut that out to enable the best chance of performing on the pitch. So it's weird. There are a lot of synergies, and there's lots of things that I feel I've been able to translate into how I play football. But equally, I do divide them completely as well.
Mm. Do you think because, and again, I'm just thinking about what you said in terms of your late 20s were a bit of a blur regarding football. Do you think it was because you had other responsibilities and actually football wasn't like the be all and end all?
Yeah, definitely. So if I think about my enjoyment of football, enjoyment of playing football specifically, yeah, my youth, my teens, maybe those years I had in Florida when I was 21, really, really enjoyed it. The others I played, I guess I did enjoy it, but not to the levels that I did before. Vets football now has reignited my love for football. Um, I would not be doing this, and I can choose not to do this if I didn't want to, right? So I'm glad that I kind of fell in love with playing again, and Vets football gave me the opportunity to do that through chance. But yeah, and what's quite nice is my team has a lot of those players that I used to play with in those previous years as well. So it's nice that there's some continuity in there, as well as the opportunity to make new friends and meet new faces. And the thing I love about Vets football is the mutual respect that exists between us and other teams as well. I don't think it's on the same level that you get in some of those open age groups or the younger age groups. You can beat another team and it'll be, war on the pitch, but after you're in the bar talking about the incidents in the game, and it's a really nice people culture. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the vet side now, and you've kind of alluded that you got into vets by chance.
Yep.
I'd love to hear that story.
So my team, Aylesford, had formed a new vets team, and they started the season without a goalkeeper. So each and every week, someone different was going in goal. The one rule I really wish they would change in vets football, and I know this is the case in Kent, I don't know if it's the case elsewhere, is that you must be 35 years old on the day that you're playing. So, for example, season starts in September. My birthday's in February. I was not eligible to play until February. So they'd kind of toyed with the idea of me signing on, and they said, "Did you fancy going in goal?" And as I hadn't played for a few years, I thought actually that might be a good way to kind of work my way back in fitness wise, see if I'm interested in it. So I had to wait till February, and by that point, close to 2/3 of the season is done. So I used it almost as like a trial period. But after a couple of games of doing it, I realized that I really enjoyed it. And I really enjoyed it because not only did I feel like I was back playing football, but as a goalkeeper, it felt like I was playing a completely different sport. I feel, and I describe it to others, that it's a sport within a sport. You have completely different rules to every other player on the pitch, and you play it completely differently. So the fact that it presented a new challenge for me, I guess, got me hooked and generally excited for every time there was a next game.
Do you think you're a bit of a control freak? Because a goalkeeper has that type of tendency, and like for you to start as a centre forward, where you are kind of relying on other people to supply you to actually score the goals.
Yep.
Being a goalkeeper, like you are the last line of defense. Like
Yep.
it's ultimately up to you to either, you know, keep a team in a game, to win them points. Are you a little bit of a control freak when it kind of comes to things like that?
Yep. You have to be. You have to be. There's so many traits with goalkeepers that then translate into me as a person. Honestly, I love being organised. The one notable difference that I loved about this position is that you play the game facing forward. And I've been used to playing for 20, 30 years with my back to goal and then turning when I need to. It was a joy being able to play and see the whole pitch. The amount of times I come off the pitch now, I'm like, lads, I had the best view there of that goal, that move, this, that, and it's awesome. But to your original point, as a goalkeeper, you got to be a bit of a control freak. You must be organised. You got to be a bit mad because you're doing things that other players don't. I like to be logical. I like to be sensible. I play things calculated. I'm not kidding you. 7, 8, 9 times a game, people will shout on my behalf. It's my biggest bugbear. I decide if I want to come and rush and claim that ball. I'll decide if I stay on my line. I decide if I want to play that short or long. You don't tell me what to do. I'm the one doing it, so leave me alone. So yeah, probably control freak.
Yeah. So again, Vets football, a goalkeeper who is under 6 foot.
I'll take that, by the way. Just under 6 foot, yeah? Is that what you said?
Oh, should I say under 5'9"?
Again, just under that one as well, but that's fine.
Well, I mean, those kind of characteristics shouldn't fit into a goalkeeper like yourself or someone like yourself. I mean, how have you found it on the pitch when like the opposition, I don't know if they look at you or literally
shoot on sight? I hear it all the time. Look at him. Look how small he is. Have a pop at him. You know, I'm like, fine, because it's really difficult to score from 30 yards, regardless of the size of the goalkeeper. You know, that's tricky. So if you want to shoot from 30 yards all game, fine, do it. Don't mind. I don't like it when you're through 1-on-1 and then, you know, that's when I'm struggling. But I have to accept, and I did very early on when playing this position, I'm not 6 foot tall. Never going to be. So there are certain plays, i.e. crosses from corners. Most teams will naturally want their keeper to come and claim and punch and stuff. I will, if there's a clear path and there's an opportunity to do so. I guess I'm blessed in the fact that I have got a good spring, so that's given me a couple of extra inches on certain plays and stuff. Even in school, I used to do a lot of like long jump and stuff like that. So I've always had a good spring in my step. But I can't be 6 foot. I can't change that. So why play a game and try to be that, I guess, of someone of that physicality when it simply doesn't exist? So I will play my game to my strengths. And it's no different to any other position on the pitch. You know, you can be a really good striker, but be 6'4", win all the headers, hold the ball up, lay it off to your mate. That kind of Emil Heskey role, yeah? Or you could be someone who's short but quick and fast and, you know, fox in the box kind of thing. You're both strikers. You're both playing very differently, and that's what I love about goalkeeping now, is the positions become a lot more modern. When I played up, the keeper never swept. They never played the short passes. They're not rushing out like they used to. And there's so much more in today's game, and as much as Vets football is not as slow as what everyone thinks, it's not the same as open ages. So I am getting an extra second on the ball than I would maybe at other age levels. And I use that to my advantage because I've got a good first touch. I can play a short pass, I can play a long pass. I know when to kick the ball out, when not to, when to slow things down. So yeah, just play to the strengths that you got. It's that simple, really.
Yeah. What's like been the I'd say the most difficult situation that you've been in Vets football, And has that affected or impacted your life outside of the sport?
Um, so I suffered a big injury. I don't know if you want me to elaborate on that. So it was, when was it? September 23. I rushed out, kicked the ball, landed, and my knee buckled, and I felt something really like strong in my right knee when I went down. Agony, really struggling to breathe. Um, had some treatment, and I actually played on for about another 15 minutes. I have absolutely no idea how I done it. Adrenaline must be. Got to half time, and as soon as I stopped, I was like, I can't continue. I can't do this. Something's wrong with my knee. Um, Went to go and see the doctor. They suspected that I'd done something to my ACL, maybe a strain based on the tests that they'd done. And I did a non-surgical recovery on that knee for a suspected ACL tear. So that kept me out for 9 months. It's the longest injury I've ever had. And very fortunate, touch wood, that growing up and playing, lots and lots of football, the longest I'd ever been out was maybe 3 or 4 weeks at most. So I've been very lucky. So I did a non-surgical recovery on that knee, done absolutely everything they told me to do in terms of my recovery, and I was back on the pitch within 9 months. I was back playing well. I played, I think, 7 or 8 games. And then an away game, I literally jumped, caught the ball, landed, and I had exactly the same pain, same feeling. This time around, with it being a second occurrence, had it scanned, they confirmed that I had fully torn my ACL and I had a bucket handle tear in my meniscus and it required surgery. So this was a full close to a year out. And that was, I had the surgery in November of 2023. So sorry, yeah, the other one was the year before, 22. So that, again, devastating, because for all the reasons that I've just mentioned there, to Brees, football was my escape. It was my one opportunity every week where I could, really enjoy myself and be with my teammates. And one very innocuous incident just denied me that opportunity to do that. So, especially with it being a reoccurrence, out for 9 months, back for about 4, bang, there it goes again. And this was a serious one. So yeah, that by far has been the biggest hit. It's quite a difficult one to get over. That one, it's the one everyone doesn't want, isn't it? So, but I've learned lots about it. I've learned lots about me during that process. Again, I was as good as gold with what they asked me to do. Physios were. They said it was a pleasure for me to go and see them, because I was unlike a lot of their other patients, and the drive for me to play again was the single biggest motivation that I needed. I wanted to play football before I was 40 years old. That was my aim. It was that simple, high level goal. No fluff in between. And I was able to get back on the pitch within 10 months, albeit I didn't feel 100%, and that's purely because of strength and loss of muscle atrophy in that knee and the surrounding muscles. But I now look look on now in the fact that I've played, I think, 8 or 9 games this season, plus pre-season training and everything, and it's stronger than ever. The biggest, I guess, relief for me was the first game, when in a couple of minutes the ball comes over the top and I got to rush out. So I had a chance there to flash back to that first moment that happened and maybe slightly pull out of it or not go for it at all. The brain told me, the innate ability, go and clear the ball. And that's what I did. Done it. And I was like, I'm back. Here I am.
I love that. You actually said that you learned something about yourself, or actually a few
Yeah.
things about yourself. What did you learn?
Um, I learned that it's important to understand what your priorities are. So I couldn't play football. So I invested more time in other people, friends, family. Uh, I ensured that I attended absolutely every single game for my team. Didn't matter whether I was on the bench, in in the changing rooms before. As much as I wasn't on the pitch, I could still contribute to the camaraderie with my mates and everything like that. I could have taken a decision to kind of step out and just say, do you know what, lads, I'll be back when I can. I felt that our team won the league last year and I played 3 appearances, but I was as happy as anyone else when we won the league. I felt that I had contributed to it in some way, shape, or form, albeit not as much on the pitch as I'd liked. Um, Going through the rehab, it's a lonely place. It's only me that can do it. No one else can magically make my knee better. It's not a medicine that fixes your ACL or anything like that. It's you dedicating the time to strengthen the knee, stretching it each and every day, um, traveling away for work with, with resistance bands and all sorts. Like I didn't stop. I was relentless with it, and I realised I am much stronger than what I ever thought I was as a result of
Mm.
it.
Mm. What's been the most pleasurable moment you been in the sticks?
Not gonna lie, it's when you get your moments because you don't get many of them. So it's making that save, making that clearance. Um, I love it. The best ones. It doesn't have to be the best save in the world, but when you relieve pressure at the end of the half, end of the game, you got the ball in your hands, you're on the floor, you're holding like this, get all the pats on the head. Love it. That's brilliant. That's a really good feeling. You got to remember, as a goalkeeper, you can't win a game. As a goalkeeper, you cannot win the game for your team. You can stop the other team from doing so, but you cannot win the game unless you're, you know, even last minute. You see the keepers go up; they're not going up to win it. It's normally there to save a point. Like, you don't win the game. The only exception to that, I guess, is maybe like a penalty shootout in a cup or something. Like, you can win the game, but in a standard 90 minutes, you don't. So yeah, those little moments mean a lot, and it's interesting because your job is to stop the others from scoring. So even when you do your job and you do it well, it's expected upon you. So it's quite hard to get credit. So I fuel it myself. I know when I've made a good pass. I know when I've made a good save, and that positivity, that drive, keeps me confident for the next play that's occurring in the game. You have to really self-motivate yourself because you don't get a lot of it elsewhere. And it's not disrespect to my teammates or anything, but that's just generally, I think, for goalkeepers, full stop.
Mm. Let's talk about social media. You are very, very active, and I love the content, and I love the
Thank you.
transparency, and the kind of candidness that you bring. What made you start putting a GoPro in the goal and actually creating your account?
Sure, no worries. So, my wife is a nail technician, and she's very big with her social media. So I've always been in and around the house intrigued and curious as to, what she was doing and how she was growing her sort of like her account. And what I could see was she was getting better at creating content as well, and I could see the enjoyment that that gave her. So I wondered if I could translate that into football. I still swear to this day, I don't do this because I'm chasing 1 million followers or 1,000 likes on my next video. I do it because I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy getting better at creating good content. It's quite addictive. Don't get me wrong. There's times I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, I best go to bed now, and stop thinking about that post I need to schedule for Thursday. But yeah, I genuinely enjoy it. It's You have to be creative as well, especially as a goalkeeper, because there's only so much you can kind of share and make interesting. So I try and find funny quirks, whether there's something that can relate to a song or something that can relate to, I don't know, maybe a famous catchphrase, or whether it's a goal or a gaff or a mistake, or what could I do better. The great ability with social media as well is I'm able to share content and then associate it maybe with a poll or something and engage interaction. So you have to be creative. I'm still trying to find out what the right balance is. I've recently kind of rebranded some of my content to try and keep it more consistent. And certainly the longer format, I want to carry on doing that because I think it's nice to kind of look at a game from start to finish. I have told my team, can we stop winning 9-1, 10-0, 11-0? Because we're doing very well at the minute. I was like, I'm getting fed up of zooming in, trying to get your goals from a little GoPro, and a nice 2-0 win, that'd be fine. Thank you. Um, but yeah, long story short, Bruce, I enjoy it. It's good fun. It's a pleasure to do.
What do the opposition think about it?
Do you know what? It doesn't get anywhere near as much noise as people think. Um, I've seen lots of videos where people come up and celebrate in front of the camera. I've seen people knock the cameras over. I'm gonna curse myself here now. In the 2 and a bit years of me having it, bearing in mind I've not been playing due to the injury and some of that, but I'm talking, I don't know, 40 games that I've had the camera in the goal. It's never been hit. Yeah.
Touch wood, touch wood.
Yeah, touch wood. So, yes, it's, it's literally just an inanimate object in the background. Some people will clock it, and if they do, I'm like, mind your language, because I'm going to have to cut that out. So, but you will get players come up saying, "Oh, did you get my goal? Or did you get that chance?" And "Oh, can I take your number so I can see it?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, it's not a problem." And that goes the same for my team. Get loads of stick in the changing room about being the social media keeper and this, that, and the other. But they're the first to come up to me asking, "Oh, did you get my goal? I want to send it on to my boy or my little girl or something." So yeah, it is what it is.
What's your biggest tip for any sports person who wants to create their own social media handle?
Okay, yeah, it's a good question. So I feel that the more mature I've come with social media content, the more I've realized that yes, people are interested in me being a goalkeeper, but my unique selling point is me. I'm Kevin. I'm a 39-year-old vets footballer that used to be a striker playing in goal. That's it. That's my unique story. So my content needs to be pushed to that. Otherwise, I'm just another account. So don't come away from who you are. I've made a conscious effort, especially more recently, to have more of me in front of the camera. If I look at the accounts that I follow, it's because you get to almost feel like you know them, and that's super important when creating an account. You've got to have authenticity. You have to be yourself. And the good news is that's the easiest way to be as a social media content creator, because you don't have to overthink things. Just be yourself. And the likelihood is that people will like it.
We cannot end this conversation without talking about your team.
Yep.
This it's again time to talk about your vets team that you play for.
Yep. So I play for Aylesford Vets. We play in Division 1, which is the top division of the Maidstone and Medway Vets League. We're a really good team, doing really well. We won our first league title last season, and this season has started really well. We've played, I think it's 8 games, won 7, lost 1, and just for our first time, got to the Kent Cup semi-final after beating New Park last Saturday in a convincing win. So, yeah, we're a good team. We are playing some of the best football we've ever played at this moment in time, full of confidence. But we're not a team of ex-pros. We're not a team of those that have played non-league football or anything like that. We're a we're a team of Sunday league players that are, you know, pretty good and play to a good level. But my God, we win as a team. Our The amount of running that we do, the amount of effort that we put in, the obsession to keep a clean sheet, the ability not to sit on a 1-0 lead and go and get the second one and keep going and keep going. We're relentless. And it's an absolute pleasure to do all of that on the pitch, all of the dirty work and the hard graft, but then also know off the pitch we're a really decent bunch of lads, really good guys. It's a pleasure to be with them every week. Any guy or girl that's playing vets football at this age is semi-serious about playing football, keeping fit, wanting to win. Otherwise, as I mentioned earlier, you have a choice not to do this. So what you find is it's a bit. I'd link it similar to. I remember moving from youth football into men's football. There's always a third of the team that just drifted away because they didn't want to take that step from youth football into men's football. And I see the same here from open age into vets. You'll see some that will just fade away and then some that continue and take it seriously. So I absolutely love the competitiveness that this age group has. Every game, it doesn't matter who you play, is a battle. It is an absolute battle. You never get given a win. You have to go and perform to go and get it. And yeah, that's cool. That's what we want. We want competitive football. It's physical as well, really physical. And because of our age and inevitability of A, availability, and B, injuries and stuff, it's very much a squad effort as well. It's very rare in vets football you having the same 11 every week. So it takes a collective effort of 16 to 20 players, sometimes even more than that, for any team to be half decent, in my opinion.
In your 30 years of being on this beautiful planet, and I know that you're going to be 40 next week, but you know what? You're still holding on to your 30s,
Just about.
just about. What has been the worst piece of advice someone has ever told you?
Oh, wow. What a question that is. What's the worst piece of advice? You've stumped me there. I generally don't know. Worst piece of advice. Someone told me not going goal. Does that count? Why are you going in goal? You should be playing up front. You always score goals, Kev. But that's not really a life lesson as such. I guess probably the worst piece of advice maybe is one that I've given to myself, come to think of it. So, I've worked in professional environments and I've worked with colleagues that just simply haven't been happy in their work, happy in their job. And I would always say to them, this is just a job. It's not your life. There's always another job that's suited to you. And as much as I can't tell you that you shouldn't be in this job, you make that choice, but know you have that choice. And I actually went through a period of my career where I didn't listen to my own advice. So I probably relate it to that. I'm in a really good place now. I absolutely love the job that I do. And the great news is it's with an amazing company that have been super supportive throughout my just over 10 years of employment with them. And it was them that, I was very fortunate and blessed in the fact that they were able to support me with the medical cover and stuff with regards to my knee injury and facilitate a return to work that meant that I was able to still be connected with my colleagues and do my job. So yeah, I didn't listen to my own advice some earlier last year when probably should have explored other options in terms of what I was doing, because I wasn't happy at that moment in time. But yeah, I eventually did see the light and sorted it out.